Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. We had a video I put out earlier this week. It actually went relatively viral compared to most of the videos I put out. It got substantially more interest, I think, because this is kind of a hot button issue here at the moment, this issue of the evolving nature of laws pertaining to alcohol in Thailand, what we would often call, in at least in American common law vernacular, what we would call blue laws back home. Basically, they're changing the structure of the way that they regulate alcohol. Now, as I pointed out in a prior video, the new act really is not more favorable. For those who are unaware, I actually did a video, and while I'm talking about this, I did a video where I discussed even further how the new law wasn't that great, but in the intervening time between I shot it and this new change, which I will cite here in a moment, I felt like that video wasn't very useful for this channel. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in a new video with our long form content on our paid news service. If you're interested in that, if you want the long form content, you can email us, media@integrity-legal.com. I'm also gonna be adding some new things coming at the beginning of the year. We're starting some new initiatives. I have some new projects I'm working on. And those that are in the paid news service subscriber list, you folks are gonna be in a different category of folks moving forward into next year when I start bringing online these sort of new initiatives. And you know what I'm talking about if you're already on the list, if you're already a paid news subscriber. But point I'm trying to make is I did make a video in the intervening time between the evolution of the passage of the law and the subsequent promulgation of the regulations. I don't think that video is overly useful for the channel, but it does provide some insight and nuance into how I think this stuff will evolve longer term. So I went ahead and I took that video off the channel. I didn't end up putting it on here, and I'm putting it over on the paid news service with some further comment on where I think this stuff is heading. So if you're interested in that, you can email us, media@integrity-legal.com. Also, while I'm talking my book, I think it's worth pointing out that my better half and I set up a restaurant here in downtown Bangkok. FYI, it's not just a restaurant. We do have a bar. I think of it more as kind of a food and beverage operation. But yes, we do serve adult beverages. So this news pertaining to alcohol licensing and things pertains to us as well. I think it's worth pointing that out. But yeah, we are primarily a restaurant at night. We kind of get, especially in our location nearby Pat Pong here and nearby all these hotels and things, and as high season is kicking off, we're starting to see folks more interested in the evening atmosphere over at Pancake Palace. Pancake Palace, again, as the name implies, breakfast anytime. Again, we do have drinks, adult beverages for folks who are interested in that, as well as American diner style food. We've got hamburgers, cheeseburgers, buffalo wings, chili bowls, etc. If you're interested, links are in the description below. Come on by Pancake Palace anytime, frankly, during the day, whether it's breakfast, whether it's lunch, dinner, or even in the after hours, whatever. We'd be happy to see you. That said, jumping into this, so in the past, I did a video earlier in the week where it looked like the laws that they were putting in were actually worse than the status quo ante, but now it looks like, okay, the raw law came in, now the regulator created by that law, which I'll get into in a moment, is gonna now come in and sort of add some nuance, add some context to the raw law, and start enforcing some regulations which actually maybe are more in favor of the consumer. Thought of making this video after reading a recent article from the Bangkok Post, bangkokpost.com. Article is titled, "Policy Board Lifts Afternoon Ban on Alcohol Sales." The first thing to point out there is the creation of this policy board. Heretofore, and as I explained in the video I'm putting on the paid news service, heretofore we were dealing with basically a regulation, if you want to call it that was created under a coup government years and years ago, and it's just sort of been pulled forward. We just kind of kept getting stuck with it. And now they finally passed affirmative laws that wipe that away. And now we have this, and then the regulators have come in and said, hey, these are the further rules that we're implementing pursuant to the raw law. And it is abrogating the old rules which required basically banning people from drinking from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. in the afternoon. But the point I'm trying to make in the beginning of this is the creation of a policy board itself That is a big difference now. We now have this acting as a regulator over alcohol matters, as opposed to the past where we had this old coup-created sort of decree that was being enforced by standard Royal Thai Police law enforcement. It's my understanding this is happening under the auspices of Ministry of Public Health, and we have an affirmative board now setting rules as opposed to having the police enforcing a rule that dates back to a military government. So all things considered, if you look at it broadly, it's something of an improvement. That said, quoting further, and remains to be seen exactly how this is applied practically. That said, quoting directly, he earlier said Thai authorities would discuss lifting the ban on afternoon sales after facing heavy criticism from businesses and the public. Tourism operators had proposed extending closing hours to 4 a.m., but the Ministry of Public Health and medical experts have opposed the idea, citing accident statistics showing a spike in fatalities from 2 a.m. to 3 a.m., Mr. Sopon said. So first, I urge those who are watching this video, read the article. They are pulling the 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. alcohol ban. That's gone. We know that. Now the discussion has moved to, well, what about closing hours, 4 a.m. as opposed to 2 a.m.? The discussion then became, well, we see all kinds of problems at 3 a.m. You're seeing problems at 3 a.m. because bars close at 2 a.m. and the drunks are all filing out. That's why you're seeing the problems then. It's not going to go away or get worse if you move it to 4 a.m. It's just the phenomenon. Frankly, I'd kind of rather those folks be moving around more like 4 a.m. anyway. There's even less folks on the road that are otherwise engaged in non-partying behavior who aren't going to be bothered by those people. I think they're bothered less at 4 a.m. than they are at 2 a.m. As a person who's a member of a community that is around a lot of clubs and operations in the nightlife area, I'd kind of prefer it go to 4 a.m. just because people stay in the club longer and don't come out till 4 a.m. when everything is true. You know, if you're not asleep at 4 a.m., you're not sleeping that night. It's kind of how it is. That said, quoting further, the Deputy Prime Minister assigned to the panel to continue discussions to reach a compromise. The Ministry of Interior has already regulated operating hours for entertainment venues, so any extension must align with existing laws, he said. He noted that while the Public Health Ministry promotes alcohol-free campaigns during New Year's, such measures must be realistic. Quote, people celebrate during festivals. If the state wants to encourage abstinence, it must offer incentives, not just impose bans, Mr. Sopon said. Good point, actually, really good point. Tip of the hat to that person for pointing that out. Quoting further, the Deputy Prime Minister confirmed that the ban between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. would be revoked. So that's where we're at. That's the state of play. Don't worry about having a beer in the afternoon now. Now, I know I just recently made a video. Based on the information we had at the time, it looked like things were getting worse. Now they've put in this policy board pursuant to that promulgated law. They're now setting a new policy, which is 2 to 5 p.m. Yeah, you can drink. You can buy a drink. That's the state of play right now, both legally and practically. Quoting further, while the final decision on whether drinking hours would be extended to 2 a.m. or 4 a.m. depends on further talks. So again, they're implementing this new system, they're putting in this new policy board, and they are going to continue to make determinations on ongoing alcohol policy, presumably into the foreseeable future. Remains to be seen exactly how it plays out with regard to closing hours, but the thing to take away from this video, to repeat again, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. in the afternoon, having a beer on the beach, buying one, going to a restaurant, whatever, the ban on that is now gone. That's over. Now, the issue of closing hours and things, that's a bit of a more nebulous one. They're continuing to discuss it. So we will continue to keep you updated on this channel as the situation evolves.